Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Financing Forward with the GDB, where we give you all the exclusive updates about our products and services. Today, we're speaking about our Small Business Development Fund and our Cultural and Creative Industries Business Development Fund. Joining me to my left is Mr. Keron Phillip, the Project Officer for the Small Business Development Fund, and to my right is Mr. Curtis Joseph of the Creative Fund. He is the Project Officer. Just a reminder, you can always leave your comments and questions in the comment section and follow all our social media platforms at Grenada Development Bank on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Now, just to get into the program, first of all, Mr. Philip, welcome. Happy to have you here. And we are discussing the Small Business Development Fund. Now, Keron, tell us what exactly is the SBDF, the Small Business Development Fund, and who can apply?
Well, first of all, thank you, Ria, for having me to discuss something that is truly vital to the backbone of Grenada's economy. Now, the Small Business Development Fund, as we know, is an initiative which was initiated by the government of Grenada and administered by the Grenada Development Bank. Now, the Small Business Fund, really and truly, it was a program designed to kickstart the economy, help young people to take part in economic activities and to help, take away from government the burden of trying to create employment for every single Grenadian person or every young person, you want to put it that way. So the Small Business Development Fund was really and truly designed to help start small businesses, one, as well as to help buffer businesses that is already existing but need that kind of capital to help push them forward so that they could get much better and operate better. Who can apply? Now, there is no special persons for small business. Any and everybody can apply. And when we say any and everybody, we're speaking about persons who are seriously interested in starting a small business, or somebody who already have a small business but do not have that financial or that capital to help push the business forward. We operate across almost every sector there is, be it agriculture, be it tourism, be it retail, any of those sectors. Once your business seems to be profitable and can make some level of impact to the Grenada's economy, then we are able to support you on that venture.
All right. So tell us what are some of the unique advantages of the fund, and what Grenada Development Bank offers that is different from what you would find from the other financial institutions, whether it's technical support and so on.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Ria, because in every institution, when you hear a loan, first thing you hear is you come in, you apply, and you get your money and you go, right? Now, when it comes to the Small Business Development Fund, we are unique in many different ways. First of all, one of the most vital things is it's a very much low interest concessionary loan. Now, that is something that you may not be able to find in any other financial institution across Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. All interest rate for our loans is 1% across the board. And it doesn't matter which sector, you are only entitled to 1%, as well as it says concessionary. So based on what is it that you have to do for your business, whether it's bringing stuff from overseas and those type of things, then the Small Business Fund has a way in which we can help you to get 100% finance, not financing, sorry, but concession to bring in your equipment or stock or anything of that sort. Secondly, at the Small Business Development Fund, we take ideas and we turn them into businesses. Now, most people may have an idea and decide, I want to get into a business. Never really thought it through, never really develop a proper business plan for it. They just saw the idea or think that it's a niche market or something of that sort and decide, listen, I'm going to get some financing for that. Now, with the Small Business Development Fund, we offer so many technical support to our customers and so forth, helping them to develop their idea, helping them to understand what are the important things that is needed to help them start and to keep the business functioning, And so those are some of our unique things. We don't just give you financing and let you go. We give you financing and we monitor, we help, we hold your hand and we guide you through the process of ensuring your business stays successful.
All right. So I just wanted to touch on those keywords and holding business advice. So If you come to the Grenada Development Bank, to the Small Business Unit, you're coming to the right place. Now, can you walk us through the application process? So, someone listening to this has a fantastic small business idea, they want to get it started. So, what are the next steps for them in terms of the application process?
So we make the mistake of thinking that the application process starts after you submit a formal application. The application process actually starts with a pre-assessment, the first conversation. The day you walk in or the day you make that phone call and said, I'm calling to get some information about the Small Business Development Fund. Now that is where the application process starts. We Whoever is the person who's giving you that information, making you understand what the criteria are. Now that's where it all began. So based on how it is sold to you, or based on how it is sold to you in terms of the criteria, and so that's where you initially make your judgment whether you want to continue or whether you decide not to continue based on what the criteria are and what is it that you're asking for. So that's where the application process starts with a pre-assessment. Now, in that pre-assessment, many things could happen. We can either just have a formal conversation. It can entail us doing a site visit before we start. Because as I said to you earlier, most people come with an idea. They have a space, or there is, the family left a piece of land for them to farm, but they don't know exactly what needs to be done or how they could do it or so. So our application process starts right there once you initiate that conversation and you inquired about our small business program. Now, one of the things that you need to know about the Grenada Development Bank in terms of the small business development program, we have what we consider an industry time for processing application, which is a 2 week span. Yes, it may not always happen, and most of the time it's for key reasons why it doesn't happen, and I may make some mention of that later. But once you make that assessment, you come in to do the formal application form, which we have. Once the formal application form is done, um, and that is inclusive of doing the formal application, ensuring that you have all the supporting documents. And the supporting documents varies, and it varies simply because every sector would allow you to bring in different types of documentation, because retail and agriculture or fishing would require different documentation. So once you would have gathered all that formal documentation and all the pre-application stuff has been met, then we take it to the next stage, which is that of reviewing and doing the appraisal and ensuring that we have a properly done appraisal for you. Once that is done, the appraisal goes to the review committee, and they approve or disapprove, and from there we ensure that all pre-disbursement conditions are met, and then we do the disbursements.
All right. And if you could just talk to us about the business summary slash business plan and how important is that in terms of the GDB being able to make the decision as to funding a small business.
So most people, most persons who wants to get involved in small business, most times it's just an idea, and that idea is in their head. They've never translated to paper or something of that sort. So the project officers at the Grenada Development Bank in the Small Business Development Fund, now it's part of our responsibility to make that idea become realistic. And making it become realistic, it means that we help you in terms of putting that idea on paper. It may be us sometime, or we may direct you to persons who are of that talent, who does business development, who does business plan development. We normally send them to a number of the organizations as well who operate. So people like GIDC who would help to develop your business plan and help turn your idea into an actually full-scale business. So that is one of the key things, because most persons would come to the small business for financing with just an idea. No, nothing else in terms of they would not have done a proper market assessment. They probably would have seen it work somewhere else and believe that it's something that they can do. And it is important for you as the individual who are applying for a small business loan to understand what business you're getting into, understand the market of that business, if there is a market for it, and if there is not, how can you create a new niche market for that particular business venture that you want to get to. So the summary is very important. The business plan is very important, not just for me to understand, but for you as the individual, you as the person who's making the application for a small business loan, to understand that you know what you're getting yourself into and how you'll be able to maintain that small business.
All right. And can we just discuss very quickly some common mistakes that you would like to see small business persons avoid in the future, especially when making their applications?
Mhm. Yeah, well, we won't finish talk about mistakes if we decide, we decide. But to be honest, one of the most common mistake that persons who apply for a small business program make is submitting incomplete applications. And submitting incomplete application necessarily doesn't mean that the actual application form is not fully complete. However, the key supporting documents that is needed for us to make a proper assessment of the business is what they tend to don't bring in, or they tend to hold back or never get it done properly. Now let's take an example. We intend to get into, or a customer wants funding for something of a poultry farm or a pig farm, right? Now, one of the key thing for that is to ensure that before we do any other thing, that the Ministry of Health and Agriculture and so does a visit to the area in which they want to do that particular project. And health also has to provide us with a report to state that the area or the place that they want to use is suitable for that particular type of business. Now, some persons would bypass that particular criteria, get all the other necessary documentation, which is the easier things to get, like the 2ID, the utility bill for proof of address, and they would drop that application in. Sometimes they drop it at the front desk to the administrative person and not straight to a loan officer. And the officer gets it 2 days after or a day after or whenever he gets it, and try making contact. Let the person know that they would have to get that assessment done before we can do it. And it would take them 3 or 4 weeks before they could get the assessment done. But then, the next thing they would say is, oh, they've dropped an application at Grenada Development Bank more than a month ago, and they're not sure what is happening. So these are some of the mistakes that is made by customers, and we try to let them know from the beginning. That's why we walk them through the process, and we allow them to get the key things done first, things that they may not be able to do on their own, because what we do is we direct them to those persons. We get the direct contact to who is responsible for it. We have direct contact to the business or the government agency who's going to be responsible, and we give that to them, so we ensure that they know and they're aware of what needs to be done when it comes to ensuring they have a practical or a formal or fully done application, which makes the process much easier for us. Some of the other key things, especially for existing businesses, they don't do any proper bookkeeping or record keeping. And that is a big mistake. And when I say a mistake, is because as an officer who was doing an assessment for a business that has been in existence for more than 5 years, 10 years, they've been existing. Now they're looking for capital. What are the reasons we're looking for capital? We have to do that assessment. But one of the key things and one of the key indicators that would help us as a project officer to understand why this project need capital is because they would have had proper recording, and we realize that there's a bigger demand, so they need more products. They need more. They need more items. They need a better piece of equipment because time would have moved, and they need more advanced equipment and so forth. But the only thing that would help, one of the things that would help us to know that the business need that, is because we were able to see what their income and expenses is for the past 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, so that we'll be able to compare and say, well, okay, if we grant you that new financing, the business has a way of meeting its debt obligations or its loan obligation. So those are some of the key mistakes, and that's why we try to lend our technical support to ensure that things like financials are done and proper application completion is done as well.
All right. And before I move over to Mr. Joseph, final question for you, Mr. Phillip. One financial tip that you would want to share with small business owners?
One is what is a lot, what is not enough here, but one of the key things to let small business owners know is, stay connected with the world, stay connected with trends, stay connected with the market, stay connected with what is happening not just locally but internationally and regionally, right? It's because everything that is happening internationally and regionally affects their income, and it can affect their income in a negative way simply because they wasn't aware. Yeah. And one of the things that they, not one, but one of the key things is to manage your finances properly. And I said manage finances properly, meaning that most small businesses, their personal and business funds are normally the same. They run the same account, they run the same business account, bank account, and so forth. Separate it. Understand that your small business is not for your personal use, but it's for business development. Use your funds or separate your personal expenses from your business expenses as the only way you would understand how your business is doing and if your business is making a profit or if it's running at a loss. So
Thank you,
thank you.
Mr. Phillip. Well said. And I'm sure our listeners are ready to start their own small businesses. Now, moving over to Mr. Joseph, I did mention that he is the project officer for the Creative and Cultural Industries Business Development Fund, which is administered by the Grenada Development Bank. So, Mr. Joseph, welcome. And we just wanted to start off. Tell us a little bit more about the Creative Fund as we condense it and call it, and what makes it different from other funding options.
Okay. So thank you, Ms. Murray, for having me on this evening. So likewise, similar to the Small Business Development Fund, the Creative Fund is set up by the government of Grenada and administered by the Grenada Development Bank. But it is specifically designed to support persons within the orange economy. So that is persons with culture, creative stuff, and likewise. So it's specifically designed for persons within the industry so that persons we know in Grenada and throughout the region, right? Like persons would have a creative skill, but there isn't any opportunity for them to grow that skill. And the funding options are very limited, as other institutions would not fund persons within that sector because they view it as high risk. So the government set up this fund specifically designed to support these persons so that they can now come out of the shadows per se and stop treating their skill as a side hustle and go into it full time and help grow the economy on a larger scale.
All right, thank you for that. And under the Creative Fund, what are the offerings? I understand it's three programs under the fund.
So under the Creative Fund, the programs that we offer under the fund are grants. That is up to $25,000, and it is for philanthropic work within the community. So persons within the community that possess the creative skill or want to assist in cultural development. Normally they have the ideas, but to put it through is very costly. So the grant is set up to help persons put it through and so alleviate some of the costs. So, for example, one of the artists might want to start like a talent show or talent development within Grenada and in the community, but it is very difficult in terms of getting venue, and the cost can grow quite significantly. So the grant can be utilized in that aspect now to help grow those persons and give those persons a stage to showcase their talent. And then we also have the voucher aspects of things. That is a business support voucher. So coming into like when the fund was set up, it was seen as a need that persons in the creative industry have the idea, but they don't have the support. So the voucher is to support persons with getting business plans, seeking professional help, and help because some persons will have the skill, but don't necessarily know how to run a business. So they would not have the idea how to do financials, business plan, marketing, and likewise. So the voucher is up to $5,000, and it's for the business to seek professional help. And we have the loan aspect of it as well. It's up to $50,000, and that's to support any business, any creative or cultural business to gain equipment or any capital that we need to push the business forward.
All right. And just going back to the grant, you said initiatives in the community, but as I understand it, it's only non-profit ventures.
Yes, so it's only non-profit ventures, but you could be a for-profit business. So someone who's already established and earning an income from their business wants to set up a non-profit activity within the community can also access the grant for assistance as well.
All right. And in terms of the process, there's an important prerequisite that persons have to meet in order to qualify for the Creative Fund. So, talk to us about the partnership with the Grenada Office of Creative Affairs.
Okay, so one of the main prerequisites to gain access to the fund is that you must be registered with the Grenada Office of Creative Affairs. They were the ones kind of like helping and pushing the creative sector within Grenada. So that being part of registering with them has numerous benefits. So once you register with them, you would be exposed to a lot of a greater network of creatives and persons within that space. So you can lean on one another for assistance and help where you are lacking. And also it helps you gain concessions and all other benefits that you may need to help with your business. So persons who are purchasing equipment for someone who is, say, sewing and needs an industrial machine, which they cannot source in Grenada and has to go abroad to get it. So once comes in, they apply to the Office of Creative Affairs for concession, and the Office of Creative Affairs will do the necessary paperwork and ensure that they get the letter, and so that they get some of the costs um, decreased on the post and so forth.
All right. So many benefits for creatives under the Creative Fund. And just to give you some more information about how the creative industry is defined for the purposes of the fund at this time, you can think about subsectors such as music production, fashion design, videography, photography, architecture, radio, television, craft, visual arts. So these are some of the subsectors in the industry. And how can creatives access the resources? So just tell us a little bit about the application process and contacting you so that they can get the ball rolling.
So the application process is similar to that of the small business, as Mr. Phillip would have said. But it starts with registering with the Green Office of Creative Affairs, and then you get the necessary documentation to come and apply for a loan and have a conversation with myself. So like, through the application process, we know that some persons may not have all the documentation that is needed. So I am here to lend that support to them, and the voucher program is here to lend that support to them as well, so that wherever they are lacking in terms of financial business plans and other sort of stuff, the voucher can be used to put them at that point where they can apply for a loan and the business can, once they get the funding, they can be successful.
All right, and just share with us one or two of the success stories under the Creative Fund in terms of the real stories of persons who have been successful and their creative businesses are thriving.
So we would have funded numerous business through the island, from Grenada to Carriacou. So we would have funded persons within the photography sector. Um, so far that we went and fund someone who does underwater photography. So we would have funded persons who do drawings and so forth, and we'd have done grants for person to do exhibitions, book festivals, and likewise. And so there are numerous persons that would have benefited from the fund and that continue to benefit from the fund and so forth. So we look forward to assisting anyone that is creative or within that sector. They can always reach out to the Greener Development Bank for assistance, and then we'll take it from there.
All right. So thank you, Mr. Joseph, for that. So to our listeners, just to recap, we spoke about the Small Business Development Fund. You can access up to $40,000 at 1% interest. We also spoke about the Creative and Cultural Industries Business Development Fund. There is a loan up to $50,000, 2% interest. There is a grant, $25,000 per nonprofit community project, and then there is a voucher up to $5,000 for business development and support. So we encourage you to call the GDB at 440-2382 to get more information and apply today. Just going back to the gentleman, final comments for small business entrepreneurs and also persons in the creative sector.
Well, yeah, I just want to say to all the small business owners, remember how vital you guys are to our economy. Remember that you guys are the backbone to our economy, and that every major business that is established now once started as an MSME. So when you look at all the other businesses succeeding, just ensure that it's part of your long-term plan to know that this is where you aim to be and this is where you desire to be, and set proper goals and smart goals and objectives that would allow your business to soar to that heights. Just stay professional, understand your business, and ensure that you're aware of where you really and truly want to go as a small business. And Grenada Development Bank is really and truly here to help you. We are not your enemies. We are actually your friends to help you to develop your small business.
Mr. Joseph?
So my final words would be to the creatives: don't be afraid. The fund is here to assist. Um, some persons will believe that they will have the skill, but once they seek financing, that they have to legitimize the business, and they are afraid of that. And they're afraid to take loans and so forth because of the kind of volatile business they're in. So my final message is just don't be afraid. We're here to help. The government would have designed the program for us to assist you, and I am here to help as well.
All right. So thank you to Mr. Phillip, thank you to Mr. Joseph for joining us and giving us that thorough explanation of the Small Business Fund and the Creative Fund here at the Grenada Development Bank. So that wraps up another episode of Financing Forward with the Grenada Development Bank. Remember, every Wednesday at 2 p.m., we will have an episode for you in which we tell you about our products and give you exclusive product updates. So stay tuned to our social media. Remember, it's at Grenada Development Bank on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And we hope to see you next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Have a great day, everyone.